Excited to share some new updates with you today. I'm joined with a number of my colleagues. I'm Kayla from the creator team here on Minecraft. With me, I also have...
I'm Mike Amerlin. I work as a product manager on the Minecraft creator team as well, so I work on a lot of the documentations and samples and those kinds of things. Brian?
Yeah, similar to Mike, I'm a product manager on Creator Tools and focusing a lot on editor. So I'll be giving you an editor update this round. Angelica?
Hi, I'm Angelica, and I am a PM on the Creator Features. So if you need a feature, I'm the one to talk to.
Lovely, lovely. So that's where the bribes can be sent to Angelica if you need a feature prioritized.
Yeah.
That's of course just kidding. That's of course kidding. That's right. The best way to actually bribe us is to like, subscribe. So please like, subscribe to these videos, and that's how you get our attention to get new features made. That's a joke. All right, let's get going. We got some great stuff coming in 1.21.60. This update is rolling out right now, and so it should be available to you by the time you're seeing this video. So we have some great updates to our input, both APIs and Molang. We have some block and item improvements. We have some editor updates, and we'll also cover some of the stuff that's coming in the future as well. So with further ado, let's get it going here. Input APIs. You know, when you're playing Minecraft, there's so many different ways you can play it. You can play it with keyboard and mouse. You can play it on a controller. You can play it on a touch screen. And often when you're making these experiences, it's hard to know what mode the player is in. And so we're now providing a bunch of scripting APIs and Molang queries for you as a creator to determine what type of input mode the player is in at that given time. If you are also a fan of using our input permission command in the past, or input permission APIs, we're adding additional abilities to look for even more different types of input, like lateral movement, sneak, jump, mount, dismount, move forward, move backward, move left, move right, all kinds of great stuff right there. So you can kind of turn off players' input permission there and basically interject it with something else that you might want to do. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Angelica, who's going to talk over some blocks and item stuff with you.
Great, yeah. So block items. We have done a lot in this category that would allow for creators to recreate vanilla block item behaviors, including how they look in the inventory and when placed. So the occlusion work here is for better visual representation. The block placer component determines the icon that players see that represents their custom block without needing an icon component. And the creative inventory order is my favorite in this list because it allows custom items and blocks to be situated alongside vanilla items and blocks in the inventory. And that allows for the same kind of grouping that you see with nested categories that players can expand or collapse. And we open that up for everybody to use. And I'm kicking it over to Mike for a demo.
Yeah. So we can take a quick look at how this all works and functions, starting with ambient occlusion. So as you're probably familiar with, inside of Minecraft, we have kind of two types of block visuals. One is based on a 3D geometry, so you can have a full expressive capability for making blocks any which way you want. And then there's the standard unit cube style block. This is like the solid block that fills an area. But ambient occlusion can apply to both. So what I'm going to do here is you can see that this is the material instances component. This is applying to a 3D fishbowl that I have. And when I see them inside of Minecraft over here, what you'll see is some fairly conventional blocks that look fairly straightforward. So this will go load up, and like I said, what you'll see is the fishbowl, which is my 3D block, and a custom dice block, which is more of that standard unit cube block that you have there. And you can see that these are very bright. In fact, both sides of this are at full brightness essentially. And you can see that the fish block, it's a 3D block, but it doesn't have anything that's really changing the color of how it works. Now, if I come in here and I change the ambient occlusion of this thing to, let's pick a relatively high number, like 8, like so, that changes the ambient occlusion factor for this bubblefish. And if I go into blocks.json for my dice, I'm going to change this ambient occlusion exponent I'm going to also change it to, let's say 5, just for playing with it. And let me go deploy this into Minecraft. Let me go save and quit, and then reload. And so what you're going to see here is that the blocks will now actually be shaded by their surroundings in a very interesting way. So when this reloads, good times. Ocelots know how to show a creeper who's boss. You can see that now these are actually pretty heavily shaded based on their surroundings. So you can see that, for example, if I actually go ahead and place some more blocks like this, you can see that the fishbowl is now colored a little bit or shaded a little bit based on some of the surrounding blocks that are next to it. And that's the same thing for this unit cube block. You can see that now the top of this is a bit shaded by the shadow of the surrounding dirt block. So that's a very custom thing that you can customize based on, maybe you want a certain type of look. Usually you'll probably want to set ambient occlusion not to 5 or 8 like I did, but something like 1 or 2 or something like that. So that's just a very quick view of ambient occlusion. Next up, this is going to be from a video that will probably be coming out in just a little bit called the Gray Wave add-on, which is a nice little demo of doing tower defense inside of Minecraft. And one of the things that I have inside of the Gray Wave add-on that we'll take a quick look at is there's a custom block called the Fabricator. And the Fabricator is this block which I use for basically working like a crafting table. So that's a nice little nifty capability. But when I give myself a Fabricator, like so, and then I go place it down like this, you'll see that if I actually look at what's in my hand, you can see that it basically looks the exact same as what I've placed on the ground in front of me. And that's typically what you're going to want to do. Very common. That's a nice thing that it automatically looks like what you're going to place down. But if you want to customize it with the item visual capability that Angelica mentioned, you can actually just go into this Fabricator block, and I'm going to paste in a new component called item visual. And inside the item visual, you can see that what I'm doing is I'm actually pointing at a different geometry. Oh, let's see. Oops. Let me go here. Fabricator in hand, which is a version of the model that matches my in hand. And I'm going to also choose a different texture. So let's go deploy this over to Minecraft like so. And when I come back into the Gray Wave add-on like so, what you're going to see is that now the visual for the Gray Wave add-on in my hand now looks a little different. It doesn't have that cube in the middle. It's supposed to look like a 3D printer, so the cube is supposed to look like, I don't know. Anyway, that was my artistic vision. 3D printers, everybody. But you can see that now the visual in my hand is a little different. It doesn't have the cube inside. The supports are a little bit differently positioned and those kinds of things. So you actually have a lot of creativity to be able to maybe have something completely different. I'm sure there we'll see some pretty awesome things that take advantage of this. And finally, another good feature that Angelica mentioned, Angelica's favorite feature, was the creative inventories. So let me just go show you what that looks like. You can see that what I've done here is I've actually created a new folder called item_catalog inside of my behavior pack. And when I actually double click on this, you can see that now I have this ability to actually change how things are grouped inside of the creative inventory. So I have a number of different turret kits here for a bow turret or a crossbow turret or a shulker bullet turret, those kinds of things. So it goes from weak to powerful. So that's the kind of ordering that I wanted to set. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm grouping these all together under a label called Gray Wave Machines. This is defined in my language file. And I've got an icon, which is what will be used for actually displaying the grouping icon. And this actually has to be the identifier of an existing item that you have in here. So it's just a new JSON file inside of a new folder called item catalog. And when I come back into my Gray Wave add-on, you'll see this fairly quickly. It's a fairly simple demo, but fairly powerful demo. If I just go up into my creative inventory, you can see down here, there's this custom grouping called Gray Wave Machines. And when I click on this, you can see it's got the ordering that I was looking for, starting with a bow, through the crossbow, through the shulker cannon, and the like. So that's just a very quick view of 3 of the new capabilities that slowly but surely add more to the power of the kinds of blocks that you can do. And a link will be to all these different samples will be in the description below. Angelica, you want to take it from there?
Sure. All right. Thank you for moving forward. So in addition to all those block item things, we also have improvements to what we've colloquially referred to as water logging. So basically setting a block to detect liquid to trigger either visuals like water flowing around a fence post or gameplay like when a block breaks or pops when it's covered with liquid. Right now, we are supporting water, but the idea is to support other liquids in the future as part of this work, like lava. And I think we have a demo.
Yeah. So very quickly, what I'm just going to show you here is that when I have a bucket of water, the standard thing happens when I place this water next to one of my Gray Wave Fabricator boxes, like this. It basically flows around them and those kinds of things, which is commonly the behavior that you're going to want. But if I come back over into my, let's say, my block over here, the fabricator.block.json, right next to my item visual, I'll just paste in a new snippet that is the new Minecraft liquid detection component. And inside of the detection component, there's a set of detection rules, although right now only water is supported, so you can only have one detection rule called water. And what I'm going to do here is it's going to say when liquid touches my block, then I want my block to be broken. So that's just one of the choices that you can have for doing liquid detection. So now that I have this, I'm going to go restart and re-push over into Minecraft. Let me go exit out. No, don't click on the video. That's not going to work. All right, I'm going to go click on the Gray Wave add-on and reload that. Let's see. Now let's go try this. Oh, so you can see that once I place the liquid, then that block was destroyed. So if I wanted to have like crop-like behavior or those kinds of things, you could go do that with liquid detection. But you can also do a lot more. So take a look at the component. Again, a link will be in the description below. You can actually control the ways that water will flow around the component and the like as you're getting started and going through it. So there's a lot of power and configurability there, and that allows you to do a lot more types of blocks. So that was just a very quick overview of the liquid detection component. It'll be a superstar. I know a lot of people love it and looking forward to it. That we can't wait to see what you'll do with it inside of your builds. And next up, we're going to talk about editor. So Brian, take it away.
Sweet. Thank you. Yeah, this update, it marks version 0.8.5 of editor. Some really cool features in here. So the first one I want to talk about is Workbench. So until this release, if you wanted to basically modify different properties, so snow blocks, for example, directionality of certain blocks like stairs, whether candles are lit or fences are open or closed, you had to go into crosshair mode. This is a tool that allows you to quickly toggle some of these properties directly in editor without having to change what mode you're in. So super powerful. Next one I want to highlight is Rough and Brush. So this is part of our terrain tools. This is a specific mode. The counter to this is smooth. So you can kind of guess what this does. It's the opposite of smooth. It roughens things. So when you have flat surfaces, they're a little bit smoother. You can actually roughen it and add some randomness to the blocks there. Next is Night Vision. This one, super minor, but like super powerful at the same time, where we're realizing when you're editing in caves or underground, it's really hard to see what you're actually doing. And so by creating night vision as kind of the default mode, it allows you to not really think about, hey, is this dark or not, independent of the game mode. So really powerful for editing. Next is vertical fly speed. The last update, we were able to add horizontal fly speed. So when you're editing, especially big structures, you want to quickly fly around those. We realized that as soon as we added the horizontal fly speed, it made it very apparent that we needed a vertical fly speed because just felt very slow going up and down. And so basically when you add fly speed, it's configuring both the horizontal as well as the vertical fly speed. So ironically, those were separate things that we had to do. We had to explicitly add that one in. So it's now at parity, kind of what you would assume how it would work. Next is updated action bars. We noticed that we had things in menus, things that weren't in action bars. And so we just did a quick pass on that, kind of consolidating that, making sure it made a little bit more sense, kind of what was in under that kind of plus button that you're seeing there, and then what the defaults are. So those settings, as I mentioned, with night vision, those are defaults there. So you can quickly kind of configure those, change the fly speed, things like that. Next up is updated our compass. We actually added a cardinal direction. So if you actually click on the compass right there, you can configure that. So it's northeast to southwest versus kind of the Z and X axes there. Lots of other small improvements and bug fixes, but these are kind of the main ones I want to highlight in this release. So next up, we actually just had a preview update last week, and we had some cool things included in that I want to highlight as well. We'll not be going out on this, but this is kind of part of, hey, what's coming up next? What are we investing in? First is our modal overlays. So this is basically if you're creating extensions for Editor, it allows you to customize some of the UI within Editor itself. And so those panes that we're talking about, similar to like settings, it allows customization for like confirmation menus and things that overlay on top of those panes. Next up, block inspector as well as entity inspector. Similar to Workbench in a lot of ways, this allows you to select a block or entity to both see what the properties are, and in some cases, not all the cases, we'll hopefully add to this as we go, you can actually modify some of those properties directly within the block or entity inspector as well. Next up, in terms of things that we're going to be shipping here shortly, very, very excited about these two things. One is structure improvements. Right now, we do support being able to have selection, copy that, and then kind of stamp that in through our structure tool. We're actually improving that so you can rename different structures. You can kind of manage it a little bit better than you can today. You can't even delete kind of once you've added a structure in Editor. You can now do that. So a lot of these features that felt like they were missing, we're going to be bringing those up to parity. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight, this is the thing I'm very, very excited about, is we actually are investing in Realms integration. And what this means is you can actually edit a world, and then you can directly publish that editor project into Realms. And so if you have friends that want to kind of see what you're creating, or even if you want to test it on other platforms, you can directly do that within Editor and upload that to your Realm. So very, very excited for this coming up in future releases. So stay tuned for that. So that's it on my side. So I'm going to pass it back to Kayla here.
Wow, I don't know if I can speak anymore. I'm so hyped about all the cool stuff that I got to see there. So hype. Man, that was editor improvements. Amazing. So excited to see what's coming next for Editor. So many cool block demos that we got to see. Thank you, both Mike and Angelica, for sharing all that great stuff. But that's not all. We have lots of amazing, great stuff coming. We have a lot more great work coming in the World Gen. We have some jigsaw block improvements. We have improvements to the /place command. We have improved structure loading, all kinds of good stuff here that will help give you creators more ability to modify the world and make more creative experiences. On the camera side, our work is progressing here really, really nicely. We have our third person boom preset coming soon, as well as aim assist. Again, just giving you all kinds of new ways to have expression in your creative experiences. On items, lots more cool item stuff happening with item tags, and specifically for support for custom item tags so that you can match tools and block breaking speeds and loot tables and do all that kind of great block item interaction type stuff. And on the scripting API, modeling and command side, we're making some improvements to our server UI modal forms, which will give you new ways of formatting these forms with like line breaks and like headings. This will give you a better way of having a larger amount of text on these modal forms and make it easier to read for your players. And then we talked earlier about input APIs. We have even more stuff happening here in the input API world where you'll be able to track higher fidelity APIs and just all kinds of new ways of capturing that player input to customize your experience. So all kinds of really cool stuff landing pretty soon. If you want to look at this stuff before it releases, definitely check out our preview builds where you'll get to see the stuff ahead of time. And yeah, just keep an eye out for all this amazing stuff landing. And I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think we've gotten through everything here. So thank you all so much for joining us for this 1.21.60 video. I want to thank Mike, Angelica, Bryant for joining me here today. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. And we'll be back with another one for the next release.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.